Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever it is for you. I'm Cycle, and this is Let's Play Train Simulator. We are doing the fourth scenario, Coal Empties to Monument. With the EMD ST42, we're going to get the weathered one. We're going to stay with the weathered one. We just took the weathered one down in the intermodal transport. We're going to stay in the weathered one. We're going to get our clean-looking one for the next scenario, the next run from Castle Rock. But we're going to stay in this weathered one for right now. So let's go ahead and get into the scenario. This is a shorter scenario because we're starting from Larkspur, but I noticed it says 25 minutes for about an 11-mile, 12-mile drive here. So I have a feeling there's going to be something going on here in the scenario to slow us down. Let's get in the scenario and let's take a look and see what we can get into. The empty coal hoppers are ready for transfer from Larkspur Refinery 5 to Monument Yard 1. Roger. Let's go ahead and get ourselves centered. That's where we're going, obviously. As you can see, our path is not set to go back here at all. We have to make that path ready to go back there, which means we have to hit a switch, which must have been that switch. I'm not sure which switch is not working there, but either way, we're going back there now. And as you can see, we're set for track 4, which we are going to be getting in a moment, but we have to start on track 5. Apparently, we're not allowed to take the one that's already set for us first. So now that our switches are set correctly, let's put that, I don't want too much throttle, but 25 for a moment will be enough. But once I get the speed up to 14, I'm going to cut the throttle right off. There we go. Slight increase to get it to the decimals. There we go. So we don't need anything beyond that. That's perfectly fine for throttle. We're going to have a... As it stands, we're going to be positioned for a red coming out of the yard anyway, so we don't need to go necessarily the speed limit. I'm just going to let it drop off from here. We should be fine. As we get closer to our destination, I will detach and I will go to our yardman's position, which there is no yardman over there, but let's assume there is, because I like to roleplay these things. You're coming back nicely. Over. Roger. So I'm actually going to lower my speed a little bit as I get closer as well. That'd be another convenient thing for me to do. Nice little rock there. It is called Castle Rock. But thanks, I'll be here every Friday. Maybe. So there's no real kind of incline to discuss here. In fact, that does not look like a complete 0 on my grid or a percentage. The percentage is also high, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but I am flat, so it's fine for now anyway. We'll see how that updates over time. We're getting closer, so I'll lower my speed a little bit. And as I do that, I'll detach. We're going to be heading into this spot right here. And which view is better? Should I go to this guy? Nah, maybe not. That's good. I guess it's good enough view. That way I'm not on the fence. So here we go. Oh, I don't want to stop completely. Let's put a little throttle back up. That was a bad stoppage. So a little more throttle, please. But being cautious is always the best policy if you can. So once I get myself onto this track, I will start to cut the throttle a little bit more here. Or rather, I already have throttle off. I mean, I'll cut the speed. Is a better way to put it. So let's move over to here. We're going to watch her come in. I just see a beautiful day here. Just a couple of clouds in the sky here. Probably not as cold as it is in real life right now, given it's winter. Where we are. Or where I am. Maybe not where you are, but where I am. I know in Australia it's summer right now, in the southern hemisphere. So I've cut a little bit of the speed off here. We're going to go ahead and reposition slightly. And I'm going to put a little more brakes on now. Lots of brakes, please. Lots of brakes. That'll do nicely. And there we go. Now a couple of the empties in Larkspur Refinery 4. Roger. So as you see, I put the throttle into the forward position. We're going to go ahead and just move the train up. I'll let this box disappear on its own because this is an automated box. We're just going to watch the cars go, and after all the cars are out of the way, we're going to go ahead and come to a stop. Or rather, I'll start cutting the throttle once the last car goes by here, but I'm going to have to watch the switch to find out exactly where I need to go. Whoop, that's fast enough. Thank you very much. I have to put a little bit of brakes on right now just to make sure I don't speed. Perfect. And actually now I can brake anyway, so let's lower my throttle a bit. Actually, my throttle's already off, lower my speed, I meant to say. So I've cut it down to 9. I probably didn't need to go down that low yet. Let's see what's going on up there. My yardman is going to go for a walk along the middle of the tracks here, see what we're up to. Alright, yardman is coming to help out. Or rather, I am the yardman. I am the yardman! I am following this train. I'm going to wait here because you're kind of... My helper's going along the track here, so I don't want to cross it. In fact, I'm going to head over here now, and I'm going to walk to this side of the track, and we're going to see what's happening up here. Alright, let's hit the brakes. So that's probably where I want to go. Yep, there it is. So if I hit this switch right here, if I hit that switch right here, thank you very much. You can see that I am now positioned for the correct track, so I'm going to send my yardman back over to this track. He's going to run over. I'm going to have him sprint over there. There he goes. He's running back. You can come backwards. Over. Roger. So, yardman has told me to come back, and we're going to go ahead and come back. Do not come in faster than 8 miles per hour, please. Roger. Since my yardman said stop at 8, I will stop at 8. He just wants to make sure we don't have a collision in the yard today. So I'm giving some thought, since I haven't recorded anything past this particular railroad yet, Castle Rock Railroad. I'm going to talk more about my future potential DLC plans here and what I might consider doing next in a moment. I have been putting some thought into what I want to do next. I do want to go to Cahoon Pass, obviously, with the SD40. I may put that off because I am running out of things to do on Cahoon Pass after that, except for the F7 and introducing the SD70 DLC. But I have a lot of other things I could do as well, and a lot of other things I could introduce. And I have a potential idea in mind here. Slow down a little, please. Roger. Brake, please. Over. Roger. Sorry, add a little more speed. Over. Oh. Stop, you're coupled. Over. Garvin's a little confused today, apparently. We're going to head forward. Your train is coupled together and ready to go. Set the junctions ahead and proceed to Monument Yard when the signal is allowed to drop off the hoppers there. I'm going to be the driver again. And let's get the gas up there. Now, I'm going to make sure that my junctions are set correctly here. So I'm not going to go completely up to speed yet. Let's just make sure I'm going in the right direction here. So I am set to go along this track. I believe this is where I want to go, and I'm going to double check this because I'm going to Larkspur through 2, which is this track. To do that, I am now set. Yes, I'm going to Larkspur through 2. You can't really see it yet, but I am. So we are good to go. I'm going to go ahead and proceed. We have to be ready for a red signal because there is a train still coming along that we have to wait for. I'll look at him when I see him. I'd like to get to a point where I can see him. Actually, a quick scan. Is he actually nearby right now? There he is. He's coming. So I'm going to slow myself down a little bit, and then we'll go get a look at this train. My signal is still red, so I'm going to put the brakes on here. Actually, that's not a signal. Never mind. My signal ahead should be green now, I imagine. Is it? Is that a signal? That's not my signal. I have no idea where my signal is, actually. Let's find out. Oh, it's way ahead. It's not for a while, so let's go ahead and keep going. If anyone wants to know, by the way, what train that was, let's go ahead and get his actual head code. His head code was 0855 mixed freight. There you go. And let's get the center back on me again. So I'm going to get myself on the main track, and then I'm going to go ahead and check as I do a small increase in speed. Steady increase in speed, I'll check my path to my destination of Monument Yard 1. I'm going to prepare my other switches, knowing I have to park the train for the night as well. So I'm going to get my other switches set up for when I'm done. I'll radio to our guy in Monument Yard to ask him to get the switches set for me and tell him I'm on the way. Coming to Larkspur through 2 right now. We're going to continue to Larkspur South 1, which is our next destination, of course, in a tenth of a mile. And as you can see, the next goal after that is Monument Yard 1, and as I said, I have to park the vehicle afterwards. So says the boss, so will I do. So I've got 18 cars behind my engines that I'm hauling right now. I'm actually losing speed here. I've hit the 1.5 gradient, so I need to put a little bit of throttle on here to get some speed going. We're nearly clear of the yard. We are on the main track now, so once we're off the junction, we should be able to get up to speed. I'm going to just do a slow increase at that point. For right now, I have to stay within my 15 range. I'm now in the 40s, so I'll do a small increase here. Let's radio to Monument. Yard, I'm on the way to Monument right now. Can you please go ahead and set my switches for Monument Yard 1, please and thank you. Roger, setting switches for Monument Yard 1 in a moment. Thank you. So the switch is now set for Monument Yard 1. And can you also set my switches for my parking spot, please? Roger. You'll need to set your own switches when you come in. Yep, thank you. I didn't really roleplay that very well. Yeah. Please check your own switches when you come in for parking, please. You want to make sure that we don't mess up your path to the drop-off point. Roger. I'm gonna let this puppy purr now. Getting up to speed slowly because we are at a 1.5, so it does mean that we're not gaining speed very quickly. We'll need to still cut off the throttle and maintain probably about 50% throttle to maintain our 40 at this point. So I think that's about the right throttle. We're going to be going up to 50 in a moment though, so we can actually drop down maintain now. There's no reason to... And I got the speed wrong anyway. 37% is about what we need to maintain. But I will let the speed slowly increase for now, because we can do so. No, 50% looks good. Maybe 50 is good for right now. We may or may not be speeding by the time we get up to that point. We're going to be speeding. Let's cut 37 throttle. So while we have a low throttle, let me explain what I'm going to be considering doing here. I'm looking at some of the German routes, but it turns out multiple German routes I'm looking at all have a ton of trains on them that want to be introduced. Whereas most of the UK routes tend to only have one train, same with US routes. And sometimes they have 2 or 3, depending on the route. Looking for one of the routes I'm looking at next is actually a route that only has one train currently available on it on my list, but that's because I haven't bought any of the DLC trains that go with it. Sadly, one of the ones I would have bought is no longer available. I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. But anyway, the German routes, I want to introduce the 101, which is the most common, apparently, German train available. I know that one of the new DLC I picked up, Black Forest Journeys, utilizes that train. I know the fictional Sierbagman route, however you say it, uses that train. I know that another route, Ruhr-Sieg, uses that train. So it's used on multiple routes. The problem is that each of these routes, if I'm going to cover all of their scenarios, each of these routes has a bunch of other trains, and the fictional route even uses a steam train, which I'm not ready to do yet. I want to introduce steam trains after I get some of the other ones in for Germany, so I'm going to hold off on my fictional route for that. But I'm still debating what German route I want to do. Ruhr-Sieg is a good option, but I have 6 trains I have to learn how to drive if I choose to do Ruhr-Sieg, plus a bunch of other trains that I will be introducing over time through other DLC. The Ice one, for example, utilizes Ruhr-Sieg for a lot of scenarios. I count like 6 or 7 in there. Separating career versions and standard versions, about 6 or 7. There's about 15 lists, I think, including free roams, 12 or 15, if you include the free roams. So, a lot of scenarios for the Ice 2, obviously. Or Ice 1 DLC. Hamburg Hanover is one I'm considering as well, because I picked it up recently. I don't think it has too many trains on it, but I'll have to take another look at that one to make sure. So Hamburg Hanover is a consideration. I think they use the 101 as well, actually, so that might be a good consideration. I think the 294 is used there as well. So I'll definitely think about Hamburg Hanover, because that's one that has a lot of DLC trains. It's a perfect one to pick to show off a couple of trains before moving on to expand into other vehicles. So I'll come back to Germany. But one that I'm definitely strongly considering for right now is actually one that seems to make the most sense right now, because it's a route that is fully covered by a different DLC. What do I mean by that? No, not South Wales Coastal, even though that is the case with the same DLC. I'm thinking about the Riviera line from Exeter to Paddington. I'm not going to get the 50s version to Kingswear right now. I'm just going to go to Paddington. Later on, when I go into the steam engines, I'll explore the Kingswear route at that point. I need to slow down. So I'm looking at the Riviera line from Exeter to Paddington at this point, only because there's only one train to use on that route initially, which is the Class 143. But that particular segment of the route is also covered by Western Main Lines, which has a bevy of scenarios. It will also give me the opportunity to introduce, I believe the Class 153 is a train that gets used there a lot as well. So the 153 and the Voyager Advanced both get used a lot. These are not available on Steam. These are only available through Just Trains at this time. But the 153 and the Voyager are heavily used on that route, and I was able to get a good sale on the complete package for Western Main Lines and all 4 of its DLC. Mind you, I'd already bought the initial Western Main Lines, so I had to get the extensions as their own package, but thankfully the sale did go to that later on. I was able to get the whole price. But it was available for like $67.99 USD in the recent sale. British price is still a few dollars better by conversion, but I guess they have to pay their fees for PayPal, which makes sense from that perspective, I guess. It sucks for me, but Doesn't feel fair, but what can you do? I only know that because I have British friends who have the route, and they know what it costs for them. In any case, yeah, I'm thinking about doing Exeter to Paddington and maybe South Wales Coastal in advance of doing Western Main Lines, because those two routes are both contained within Western Main Lines completely. The original South Wales Coastal, not the expanded version which was re-released with the path to Swansea. Granted, I already have the Swansea, so I got it for free with all the unbranded stuff. But, and the remakes of all the stereos, so I have two versions of the stereos now, obviously. South Wales Mainline, I think they call it now. But I am going to be able to show you all the branded trains on it, which is nice for me. And then we're going to be able to go to Western Main Lines and look up the Voyager Advanced and other trains that go along that part of the route. I am still missing some of the Just Trains models, some of the Just Trains DLC. So there's going to be the odd scenario that I can't play, and I'm not going to be trying to go over all the Western Main Line scenarios in the first place. I'm going to be doing that one at a much slower pace, because that's a very, very long route. We're going to be in different spots all over the route using different trains. And my goal is just going to be to introduce the different trains. I don't know if the scenarios on Western Main Lines are numbered in order, but at least I know if I clear Southwestern or South Wales Coastal, especially that one segment that's contained within the route, but probably the Swansea as well later on. And if I clear Exeter Paddington, then I know that I've covered both of those routes within Western Main Lines. I have to determine whether there are other routes covered by Western Main Lines I might want to explore before going to the full route. But assuming that that is not the case, I'll move to Western Main Lines soon after I've done those. I'm going to probably do other routes before going back to that same path, but I will be definitely wanting to do Western Main Lines soon, because I do have the Voyager Advanced and the Class 220, the cross-country Class 220, which is no longer available on Steam. And therefore no longer available anywhere, because I think that was a DTG product, so it's not available anywhere at this point, I don't believe. I'm not able to put that model in my scenarios, which means that that DLC is off limits to me. But I have a friend who was, I suggested to a friend, there must be another Voyager we can replace it with and get those scenarios with that train instead. I might actually use those 3 scenarios to introduce the Voyager Advanced. Because A, I'm going to need to learn how to drive that train, and B, it's advanced model, so it's going to be a very high quality train to drive in this case. So it's going to be a good way for me to introduce the Voyager Advanced. So I'm going to go ahead and use those 3 Exeter to Paddington scenarios with the Voyager Advanced, because that seems to be the best way to do that. I also have a DLC pack, a scenario pack for the South Wales Coastal. I should probably not speed. I'm in a 40 now, which is why I'm speeding. I was slowing down, but I didn't slow down in time. Whoops. That's what you get when you're chatting about what your future plans are, ladies and gentlemen. It happens every single time I cut this scenario. In any case, I do have... What train was that? 900 take car freight. Gotcha. So, and I'm 5 miles away, so no yellow yet. Perfect. So, naturally, because that will get those 3 stereos out of the way, and it'll allow me to explore those stereos I can no longer require myself, it means I'm going to be able to introduce the Voyager Advance, and that will take care of the problem of learning how to drive that train, because I will have it on those 3 scenarios, which is a nice little benefit for me. And then when I go to Western Main Lines, I don't have to introduce that train anymore. You've already seen me drive it, and I've already know a little bit about it. I also have to get reacquainted with it. Now, the Class 153 is also heavily used in Western Main Lines, but I actually have a different idea for introducing the Class 153. I do have the Just Trains version of Tottenham, the Tottenham route, and that one includes scenarios for the Class 153. Why am I speeding? I didn't think I was going... Oh, I'm on downhill now. That would be helpful to not speed on the downhill. Thank you very much. You can see the hill starting to show up there. You can see it really starting to go downhill as I get around this curve here. So I do have to manage on the downhill carefully now. Actually, no, I'm still uphill. What am I talking about? Looks like I can go downhill, but I'm not yet. Very soon I will be. You may or may not be able to notice the gradient change in the front of the cab here. I'm steady right now. We'll change that. Anyway, 0.8 uphill right now. That's going to change as we go downhill in a moment. So, yeah, I'm going to be introducing Tottenham at some point. That'll give me the Class 153 as part of that. And then at that point, I've got the two major trains I need to worry about for Western Main Lines. Other ones I can introduce over time as they show up on the route and as I acquire them. But those are the main two that I need to worry about. I did pick up the Class 20, so I do have the Class 20 from the sale as well. That means I'm going to have that. Scenarios that use that, if any, on Western Main Lines, I'll be able to do that. I'm also going to have the Cornish main line. I'm going to have the South Devon extension as well, so I have all of that. By the way, Cornish is the one that goes all the way to Penzance, so South Devon is going to be explored as part of the Exeter to Pygington. That's the South Devon part. The main Western Main Line starts at Exeter and goes north from there to South Wales Coastal and to Oxford. There is a separate extension from Oxford to Bicester, I believe. And there's another extension on the South Devon side, which I think it's called the Pygington extension, actually. Which, yeah, I think it is actually called the Pygington extension. So yeah, a little bit of diversity in that. I know that the Cornish main line requires, there's our yellow by the way, I know the Cornish main line requires an SSD, so it's a little more graphically intense. I might have to run that one on medium, especially. I'm already running on medium right now. But unless I get, I'm going to see if I get 64-bit working. And if I can't, I'm going to have to run that one on medium, because otherwise I'm going to have a hard time loading the assets since 32-bit. So I'm going to see if I get 64-bit working by then. I don't want to change the consistency of my recordings for the time being, so I'm kind of just maintaining medium while I finish the Cajon Pass scenarios. But I may, and maybe I'll do the original Riviera line from Exeter to Pygington as well. It's really when I start going into the Just Trains content, I'm going to want to explore moving up to a 64-bit setting. So at that point, I'm going to try to unlock my 64-bit. And that includes Tottenham as well, obviously. So I'll figure it out over time, but I do think my next British route is probably going to be Exeter to Pygington. I know in the next scenario, because I'm recutting this one after the fact, my next scenario, I talk about not being sure. I talk about possibly wanting to do Sir Bagbon, or however you say that. The Headborough North is also an option, which I may consider doing that instead. I may do Headborough North as well. That will give me the access to the Class 37. And later on, you're going to get to see me drive the Class 37 on West Highland Line South. So that, and it's a very commonly used train across the UK. So that's another good option. But the other reason I'm looking at the 143 on Riviera Line, the other reason I'm looking at the 143 is specifically because the 143 is part of the Arriva Wales DMU pack, which is also no longer available and did not get, for some reason DTG did not create blasé models of those to include with the South Wales Coastal download, which I think they should have. They should have included those 4 scenarios in that download, I think, because they're back to charging full price for that route as a new item. On not as good discount as I got it for, that's for sure. So I think they should have really included at that point and then pushed the higher price in the discounts, so they don't have to worry about putting as high of a discount on. We see the signal coming up, by the way, so I'm going to go ahead and start reducing the speed a lot more here. I want to be down to 15 by that signal, even though the DLC does not penalize you for not being down to 15. I'm going to treat it as if you have to be 15 by the signal. Even though it's a long distance to the yard, I think that's just a realistic way to do it. So yeah, I am looking at Headborough North for getting the 37, also the 47. I am looking at the 143 from Exeter to Pygington. Those are my next British route considerations. For US, I'm definitely going to be taking us back to Cajon Pass, but I also want to introduce Donner Pass. I also want to introduce Soldier Summit, because these are related to the Sherman Hill DLC. And the scenario packs I have for Donner Pass, Sherman Hill, even Soldier Summit, and even for 1 or 2 of the trains, actually require Sherman Hill anyway. For some of the scenarios, and Donner Pass for some of the scenarios in some of the loco scenario packs. So getting those introduced in a very quick fashion, it seems like a very good idea. Let's throw that speed down very quickly now. If I go to the other cab, you can see the flashing. No, you can't actually. Yeah, you can see the flashing red coming up. So you can see that from the other side here. So we're going to get the speed down quickly. Brakes off. Let's let it adjust. Okay, it's increasing quickly again. Let's just feather that a little carefully here. There we go. That'll work. Yeah, good for now. It'll go up again, but that's good for now. So we're going to, I'm looking at those two. I'm looking at Cahoon Pass, Donner Pass. Let me rephrase that again. I'm looking at those two British routes. I'm looking at those 3 American routes. And I'm still undecided on Germany. I did pick up the retro canvas route from for the Dutch trains that from Chris Trains, because I was able to get the Chris Trains models very cheap over the Just Train sale. And the retro canvas route also has a ton of trains to show off, so I'm not going to be rushing into the retro canvas route. I'm going to want to get the I'm going to want to show off some of his train models before I actually get to the retro canvas route, because there's going to be a lot of other models to introduce on that route. And to be completely fair, you're not going to probably be able to remember any one of the trains. I'm not going to be able to remember any one of the trains, especially if it's only used for one scenario. So I'm going to be trying to spread out the retro canvas stuff as well, because there's about 20 scenarios on that route to worry about. So I'll be trying to spread out retro canvas route too. You can see my destination ahead at Monument Yard, so I better radio into the yard here. I am past the signal for Monument Yard. I am approaching Monument Yard. Over.
That's fine, sir. You can come on in, and the switches are set for you for Monument Yard 1. You may proceed. Over.
Thank you. Over. And as we come along here, we're going to get a nice look in a moment at what I like to call Monument Road. Why do I call it Monument Road? No real reason. As you can see, it's just a road that goes off here into the distance. Meets that road. And looks like it meets the interstate, wherever that other road is. And then on the other side, continues past this lovely building here. And eventually meets a parking lot, and it seems to be the end of the area there. So there you go. Oh, I didn't mean to put the throttle up. I'm going to take the brake off so I can keep speed coming up a little bit. Going a little too slow at this point. And now we're going to put a little bit of the brakes back on. That'll do. 9%. That's too much. 8%. That should do. Now it's coming down a little off. Let's just try to manage that just a wee bit better here as I now go to a 5% brake application. That now is also too much. There we go. That's too much as well. Let's figure that out. 2%. I'm going to have to feather this, aren't I? You're going to make me play with this a bit. Well, I'm on flat ground now, so I'm going to be able to coast the moment anyway. Let's try to get the last little bit of downhill increase we can from that hill we're coming off of. When I pass over, can you please change the junction to the main track, next to the main track, so I can come down that for heading to the parking spot, please?
Roger, we'll change the junction.
We're going to be parking ourselves momentarily next to this set of this cut of cars over here, and there's actually a nice set of oil tankers, it looks like, over here as well. There we go. And as I get past those, I will hit the brakes. I think this is a good time to do it. Definitely a good time to do it. Definitely a really good time to do it. So back out the front. And as I look at the back, you can see that I have indeed... Well, maybe I could have gone just a wee bit more, but let's... we'll just leave them here. Good enough. Detach. The empty coal hopper from Larkspur have been successfully delivered. Proceed to the Monument Engine Service track to end this scenario. So I'm going to come up here and set my own junction for this path, because this would be a good Oh, I was already set. Never mind. I was already set for that one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Meanwhile, how's my yard guy doing back here? Let me get some speed going here. Brakes off. Thank you very much. Where am I going? I'll figure out what I'm doing here. Let's make sure that my path is clear first. That's the more important thing. Yeah, I'm clear to go down here. So I'm going to be wanting to come back down this... I'm going too slow. That'll do. So I want to... Eventually I'm going to want to come back down the track that is one to the right of where I am. So that's what I'm trying to figure out here. When I come down this track, I'm going to want the switch to connect over there, which is exactly what's going to happen when I come back to that track. So when I do that, I'm going to make my way all the way back to the green signal up there, and then I'm going to start arranging for my parking spot, which is going to be right about there at this point. And that switch is set, so I should be good once I get over there to change that switch back over, and then we're good to go. So that's how I'm going to do this. Where am I? I'm going to put a little more speed on. I didn't go fast enough to figure that out.
Those switches have been set for your parking spot. You'll need to change the switch yourself to actually head to your parking spot when you get back to the signal. Over. Roger.
Let's check the back of the train, shall we? Now that I'm coming over the junction, I go ahead and put the throttle up to 10. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. I did not mean overhead view. Let's try that again. Oh! Here's what I want to hit. So as I look at the mini-map, you can see my path is now set to go along that track, and I'm going all the way to that signal I mentioned earlier. So we're going to put the reverser backwards. I'm going to take the brakes completely off, and let's go straight up to 15, shall we? You can see I'm now heading backwards, which is fine. Let's take this off for a nice backwards view for you guys. I'll take that throttle down to 15 in a moment. So you're going to see in front of me the track veering off to the right behind me, and there's the switch I just pushed. So the track's going to the right. It's going to continue to the right. You're going to see it branch off again. And it's going to branch off again. So that's enough watching that. Let's follow our vehicles. There's the cars we just left in the parking spot. We could have come down this track as well, so we had two options. But let's just give ourselves the most convenient way to do this, which is go straight up to the signal rather than trying to guess where in the yard you are. When I took this path on the left, I actually bugged out the scenario one time. I don't know why, but I couldn't finish the scenario. So I'm not sure why it bugged out. It was mystifying to me, but my path just froze on the track that I had taken, and it wouldn't change my track over to the other track here. So a little mystifying. So I'm bringing my HUD back up, as you can see. We are going 12, which is exactly where I thought I was. I figured I was within 12 to 14. So I was right around 13, actually, 12.8. I was at one point up around 14, based on my speedometer. So we're going to have a signal coming up here. Let's just watch from the signal, shall we? So there's the signal up there, and we're going to watch the train come along, get a little closer to the signal, and then I'm going to go ahead and slow down. And if we check the map again, you will see that I am indeed set to potentially go back onto the main track, which I'm not going to do. We're coming close, so I'll give you a better view of this. I put a little bit of brakes on in advance there. I'm going to put more on now. But I have to get beyond the switch before I can stop, so I'm going to go ahead and just coast. I think I am going to have to nudge past the signal, unfortunately, to come to a stop. Because I do have to get clear of that switch. So I'm going to put the brakes on now. Yeah, I'm going to nudge past the signal a little bit. As you see, it just turned red. But I should be close enough now. If I zoom in, you can see I am clear of the signal. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that. I'm going to put the reverser in the other direction. Going to take the brakes off. And I'm going to head forward. Oh, yeah, I did hit the switch. So yeah, it should be good. So as I move forward, you'll notice the signal turns green as I come back past it. Let's check my path. My path is clear right into my parking spot. So we're going to continue onwards here and get in the cab. Let's put the throttle, the HUD back up so I can see my positioning, even though I don't really need the HUD at this point. In fact, let's take the HUD off. Why not? I've just taken the throttle completely off. There's no need to really get all the way up to 15. I'm going into a parking spot anyway. As I come close to my parking spot, I will drop my speed a little under 10. And then as I come to the parking spot, I will, well, park. I'll obviously have to cut the throttle off to 0 at that point. I don't really have a choice because I would run into the buffer if I don't. So there is one more scenario coming up on Castle Rock Railroad, and I think it's the intermodal transport. I know one of them was at deliveries, and the other was an intermodal. I think intermodal is the one that we have left. Let's go ahead and cut my speed a little bit now. So that scenario will be next time. I'm not going to hang out on the menu after this one, because, well, I've already completed it, so there's no point really showing you, because I may have the wrong one, so. But one of those is the one I haven't done yet. You'll see that one next time. And since I'm recutting this one, you can assume I've already run that one. So I'll lower the speed a little bit more. We are in our parking spot now. I'm going to try and get the buffer just out of sight into the front of the thing there, the front of the engine. And I think this is the right stopping spot right here. And that's the end of the scenario. Oh, I'm right up on the buffer. Look at that. Right up on the buffer. That is about as close. Well, there's a little bit of space. Not much, but there's a little bit of space. So I'm right up on it. That's fine. So that's going to be enough for the scenario. Let's look outside again. It's going to be enough for the scenario right here. And with the empty hoppers cleared from Larkspur, there is now room for new deliveries. You've successfully completed this scenario. Roger. So we're going to see a couple speeding penalties on that, but not too much. If you like the video here, make sure you like, obviously give a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and yeah, you're going to get to see more. Oh, 3 speeding. That was the 3rd speeding I forgot about. Yeah, there were 3. Good. I did not exceed freight comfort level apparently. Nah, I'm sure it marked a brief split second where it did, and that's why it says 0.000%. But that's kind of misleading. So apparently I did it for a brief moment there. But in any case, we have completed the scenario, and we are going to move on. And you'll see the last of my current set of Castle Rock scenarios next time. And then I'm either going to go, like I said, to either the new British route, or I'm going to stick with the fictional routes and do Headborough. I haven't decided yet. But I do also have to go to Cahoon Pass with this SD40. I may just go ahead and do that. So I'm kind of undecided. We'll see what we decide to do. Again, the only other scenario that I have not broadcast as of the time that I'm recutting this is the next one you're going to see. And it's after that scenario. So by the time you're seeing these scenarios, I'll have a good idea what's coming up. But you'll note that even in that scenario, I seem unsure of what's coming up next. So I'll give you a little bit of a surprise as to which one I'm planning to do. It's either going to be a German route I haven't decided on yet. Maybe Hamburg-Hanover, haven't decided. It's going to be Exeter-Paddington. It's going to be Headborough North, which is a freight route to get the Class 37 introduced, or it's going to be back to Cahoon Pass to continue with this SD40. I honestly have not decided. So one of those is probably going to be the next thing we do. Yeah, I'm hedging against Cahoon Pass only because there's not that much that we still have left to do here, but at the same time, that means I get the DLC off my drive once I'm completed. So we'll see what I decide to do here. I'll see you for the next scenario in this route meanwhile, and then we're going to go on to a new route, or back to Cahoon Pass, one or the other. Anyway, I'll see you next time for more Let's Play Train Simulator. I'm Cyclone, and I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, or night, whatever it is for you at your part of the world. I will see you next time. Bye bye.